think it's about time that your boy Obama go back into hiding. I don't care about your story about your, professor who was a part of that community and used to put you in check and all that stuff. I can only imagine what subliminals you're talking about. However, my son don't need someone like that mentoring them. He has me, just like I had my father. Okay? So with you coming, and first of all, nobody in the black community is listening to you at this point. I mean, you tried to come out here and lecture us about not voting for Kamala Harris. You lost all credibility there. And I know you're still going to have a large chunk of the Democrat Party who's going to rally behind you because they don't really like masculine men anyway. But you and Michelle can go somewhere else with that because black people are not buying it. And it's crazy because those same black people that come to my page and call me all types of names like coon and Sambo and all this stuff because we're talking about Obama is the same people that would allow their children to be put in harm's way. You know what I'm talking about. Because the statistics don't lie when it comes to children being SA'd. I mean, after all, you are the same people that back giving medication to kids that'll alter their, we got to be very subliminal on this app. Don't want to anger anybody. But all due respect, former President Barack Hussein Obama, you should probably worry about who your children are around and why they want to drop your last name rather than trying to push something else on other families.
The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, just released explosive evidence accusing Barack Obama and his entire national security team of launching a coordinated intelligence operation to delegitimize Donald Trump after his 2016 victory. And now she's sending it all to the DOJ. So let's break this down a bit. According to the July 18th ODNI press release, Obama's team, including James Clapper, John Brennan, Susan Rice, and others, allegedly manufactured intelligence to push the Russia hoax. And it wasn't based on new threats. In fact, before the 2016 election, the U.S. intelligence community found no evidence Russia was trying to influence the vote through cyber means. But after Trump won, that almost immediately changed. On December 9th, 2016, Obama's team allegedly ordered the intel agencies to create a new assessment, this time claiming Russia did interfere. That assessment contradicted earlier findings and was filed with unverified material like the now debunked Steele dossier. Tulsi Gabbard says this wasn't just political spin, it was a treasonous conspiracy to overturn the will of the people and kneecap Trump before he even took office. The results? Years of smears, the Mueller investigation, 2 impeachments, political arrest, skyrocketing U.S. and Russia tensions. So now Gabbard has just referred the entire case to the Department of Justice for prosecution. She says no one is above the law, not even a former president. This could be one of the biggest political scandals in modern history. So I'll be keeping up with this. Just a reminder, I have a free email newsletter where I go into more detail on many of these topics, and that is one of the only places I cannot be censored. Highly recommend you go to my profile, click that link, and drop your email in. There's going to be good updates coming there. But also, click that follow button to stay up to date, and we'll see you in the next one.
Welcome back to the Marc Perspective, where we challenge assumptions, dissect narratives, and dig into the stories that shape our society. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel. The more that we get on board is the more that I can offer. So please, once again, like, subscribe, share this channel, and leave a comment below. So today we're diving into 2 headlines that on the surface couldn't be more different, yet both center around one particular person, and his name is Barack Hussein Obama. First, we'll unpack Obama's recent comments on masculinity, empathy, and the role of gay men in shaping emotionally intelligent boys. Then we're going to pivot over to a bombshell set of allegations from Tulsi Gabbard. Now, she's the director of the National Intelligence, and she claims that the Obama administration orchestrated a treasonous conspiracy to undermine Donald Trump's presidency. So there's a lot to unpack, so let's get into it. So on a recent episode of I guess it's called an IMO podcast, and it's hosted by Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson, which is Michelle Obama's brother. Obama was on it, and he made waves by suggesting that young boys need diverse male role models, including gay men, to develop empathy and emotional intelligence. Okay. He shared a personal anecdote about a gay professor who challenged his thinking in college, saying that exposure to LGBTQ plus individuals helped him grow. Obama argued that fathers alone can't provide the full spectrum of guidance boys need, and that having gay friends in one's circle can help children, especially those who may be gay or non-binary, feel, I guess, left out. Now, depending on your lens, this is either a progressive call for inclusivity or a controversial redefinition of traditional masculinity. Obama also criticized the progressives for neglecting boys while rightly advocating for girls, saying we focus too much on what's wrong with boys instead of what's right. So here's the question I have for you guys. Is Obama reframing masculinity in a way that empowers boys, or is he pushing a social agenda that some feel undermines traditional values?
So I'm pregnant with a boy, my first child, my son, the light of my life. And when I think about what my son is going to need in order to be great, I don't think, my son is really going to need a gay man. That's what my son needs, is a gay man to make sure that he's great. It's very important to me that my son has his father first and foremost. It's important to me that my son sees his father and I love and respect one another. Even if we're not romantically involved, love and respect one another as people and as his parents. It's very important to me that my son has Christ in his heart. It's very important to me that my son is literate, that he has the ability to read and write and verbally communicate. It's very important to me that my son has access to play freely and play outside and run around. It's important to me that my son has access to high quality education. It's important to me that my son sees a reflection of himself around him that is positive, edifying, uplifting. It's important to me that my son has a healthy relationship with food. That's really important to me. It's important to me that my son has family around, people who he can trust, a village of his own. It's important to me that my son has a strong sense of self and the ability to articulate his thoughts and emotions. It's important to me that my son has a passport, a valid passport. I had my first passport at 18 months old. It's important to me that my son has math sense and he works well with numbers. Now, one time have I thought my son needs to have a gay person in his life. Even hearing Barack Obama say it, that doesn't make sense. That's like saying my son needs to have a Mexican person in his life. My son needs to have a Jewish person in his life. No, he needs to have compassion, empathy, and understanding is what he needs to have.
Recently, in an interview, former President Barack Obama said that every boy needs a gay man in their life. I personally think that Obama is the gay man we all had in our life. I also think Obama's probably going to need a lawyer.
Obama's trying to save the party he destroyed, so he's on a manhunt. But there's one problem. The brothers don't listen to him anymore, so he's trying to transition boys into girls. Barack's got his own rules for men, but these are the rules that made men leave the party in the first place. Barry says guys don't always have to be the providers, as long as they talk about their feelings.
A lot of male identity and status was tied up with being a provider, having a job, doing a good job, coming home. And when folks started losing jobs because of deindustrialization and offshoring, you had a bunch of men suddenly feeling lost because their identity had been so wrapped up in that one thing, which was being a provider. And so part of what we have to do is, as men take responsibility for figuring out how to talk about and share feelings.
We wouldn't have to talk about our feelings if Obama didn't send our jobs to China. Do you know how we feel about that, by the way? Angry. That's why we voted Trump. But Barack doesn't just want you on the couch. He's telling guys to put down the baseball and pick up a playbill.
They have to be able to learn how to be more than just the sport that they care about. Right. And while they get great skills in sports and they learn a whole lot of traits,
teamwork,
I think we owe it to our boys to be very deliberate about saying enough with sports and let's try some other things.
So sometimes it's just a matter of, saying to our boys, you being interested in art and you being interested in, theater, that's cool.
Get off the field and go to an art gallery. And when you do go, bring a gay friend.
I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you.
So me personally, I think that, and this has nothing to do with saying that gay men can be a father and so forth, because I've met a lot of gay men who are fathers that are in a gay relationship. However, they just love who they love, and I respect that, and more power to them. And so I'm not doubting their abilities in being a father, protecting their children and teaching them right from wrong. That's not what my issue is. My issue is that within the black community, Democrats have pushed this narrative that women don't need men. Basically, they have been pushing this narrative. They have weakened the nucleus family so much that in the black woman in a black family home, the black woman is the breadwinner. Then comes the children, and there's the man. The men are at the bottom of the totem pole. The men are the poorest in America. Black men. And the problem I have is that I think the percentage is 78% of black children are born into single family homes. And when I was growing up and running streets and having kids and all this other stuff, I didn't see anything wrong with it. As I got an education and now I changed the way I think. I see it as a problem. So when Obama says that the father can't be everywhere and they can't be everywhere at every place, and they might need another guy to be like their role model, especially if that child is gay or non-binary. Well, I think he crossed the line, because what a child needs, and this is the truth, and once again, this has nothing to do with saying that a gay man cannot be a good father. I'm not saying that at all. I knew one here in Gainesville who's looking for a job for his son. It's his son, he just happens to be gay, but he cares about his son deeply. And where my problem is that young boys need a mother and a father. The mother is to teach that kid empathy and grow that emotional intelligence. The father teaches him that strength and that courage and, the will. And so I think Obama really crossed the line. I think he should have just stayed off of Michelle. But I really think Obama just needs to go find a nice little room, stay in it, and stop trying to jump into the mix, into the fray, into the public's eye. We don't care anymore. Go away. You never was for the black community. Obama has done more. Trump has done more for the black community than Obama. Okay. And I'll challenge any black person on that. Obama is a total disgrace. So that's how I feel about that. But now we must jump into Tulsi Gabbard's treason allegations against Obama.
Now to stunning new revelations from Washington from the director of the National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. She is threatening prosecution for the Obama administration, at least officials from it, over declassified documents, she says, suggest they may have played a role in the 2016 Russia election interference report. Fox's Madeline Rivera explains.
DNI Tulsi Gabbard says she's referring these declassified documents to the Justice Department. She argues the intelligence community under the Obama administration changed their tune regarding Russian interference in the 2016 election. And Gabbard points to this material in which intelligence officials state Russia is probably not trying nor have the capability to influence the election by using cyber means. A draft presidential daily briefing shared among officials on December 8, 2016 says Russian and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting malicious cyber activities against election infrastructure. The next day, the Obama White House gathered top cabinet officials for a National Security Council Principals Committee meeting. These included former DNI James Clapper, John Brennan, and former National Security Advisor Susan Rice. After that meeting, Gabbard says there were leaks alleging that Russia intervened in the election to help President Trump.
President Obama and his team, he directed a manufactured piece of intelligence that detailed not if, but how Russia tried to influence the outcome of the United States election that President Trump won in November of 2016. This document was then used as the foundation for everything that came next.
Gabbard says what happened next was a years-long coup against President Trump. But Democrats are calling Gabbard's accusations baseless. They point to a report released by the Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee in 2020. Democratic Senator Mark Warner says the findings reaffirmed that the Russian government directed extensive activity against U.S. election infrastructure ahead of the 2016 election, and that it used social media to conduct an information warfare campaign in order to benefit Donald Trump. The report, though, concluded there was no evidence any votes were changed or that voting machines were manipulated. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Oh, what a doozy. So, Tulsi Gabbard, who used to be a Democrat and even ran for the presidency as a Democrat, is now Trump's director of national intelligence. And she dropped a political grenade, a damn nuclear bomb last week. Because she released declassified documents alleging that Obama and top officials, including James Clapper, John Brennan, and Susan Rice, manufactured and politicized intelligence to delegitimize Trump's 2016 victory. Gabbard claims this was a treasonous conspiracy aimed at subverting the will of the American people. Her office is referring the matter to the DOJ for criminal investigation. So, let's be clear. These are serious accusations. And if true, they suggest a coordinated effort to weaponize intelligence for political ends, I guess. If false, they represented dangerous escalations in partisan warfare. But Critics say Gabbard is rehashing debunked claims to distract from other controversies like the Epstein files. Supporters argue she's finally exposing the deep state's playbook. So, is this true or not? It's true because there was another investigation, and I cannot remember the man's name, but he stated that John Brennan went into the president's office, President Obama's office, and said that Hillary Clinton was going to make up a story of involving the Russians and Trump so that it could take the heat off of her server, the emails and so forth. And I remember this, but then you didn't hear nothing of it because Democrats was in control and they wasn't going to have it. But now it's come back into light, and Tulsi Gabbard have them, and hopefully this will go further because as you know, Democrats always say nobody is above the law, and finally, you know, what they say is really going to happen. Obama and all the others will be held accountable. So let's pray because, you know, there's too much at stake, and we really need to hold the people in Washington accountable.
So Tulsi Gabbard is basically like a bloodhound right now. She's pushing and pushing and pushing to prosecute Obama, right? I know that sounds crazy. Prosecute Obama? Did we ever think, ever, would a day come where President Barack Obama would possibly be prosecuted? And this time it's for treason, because Tulsi Gabbard says that she has FBI reports that clearly indicate that the Obama administration knew from the start that the Russian hoax was fake. She has paperwork that supports the FBI understanding that it was fake, and the DOJ, I believe, understanding that it was fake the entire time. But they said, never mind it being fake, let's use this to fit our narrative so they can try to rig the election. Not necessarily rig it, but you know what happens in elections. You need juicy information, right? You need things to sway away votes, right? And they were using that Russia hoax to sway votes, and it almost worked. So, you know what's crazy? The people that was calling Trump crazy over that, y'all owe him an apology. He'll probably never get it from you, but you owe him an apology because he was right. As much as Trump is wrong, he's actually right a lot of the time. Like, we got to give him credit when credit is due. He was right about it.
I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Obama been dirty. He been dirty. He need to be arrested. He need to be held to the full extent of the law, just like any other American would be. Tulsi Gabbard, you did amazing. Girl, I wish I could see you right now and give you a hug, girl. You did a good job, girl. Only problem is, with everything that just took place, ain't nothing finna happen to Obama. Ain't nothing finna happen to Obama. He got too much dirt on everybody else up in the government. This man can do pretty much whatever he want. They scream all this ain't nobody above the law stuff, but then they go right back and prove that he himself and everybody that's in cahoots with him is above the law. And they only got this power due to American taxpayer dollars. They get their money from us and then use our money against us to show us that we ain't nothing based off the taxes we been paying that's to enrich them. Obama and his husband Michael ain't finna miss a day at the beach. But guess what? They finna keep on putting stuff in the media that they own. They try to keep us fighting amongst each other. I think this right here this should be a good moment for Americans to step up and demand something, because Trump's sitting on 34 felonies. The reason why he got 34 felonies is because he ain't a part of that coup. But the Chuck Schumers, the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, the AOCs, the Jasmine Crockett's, the Obamas, the Clintons of the world, ain't nothing finna happen to them because they tight like this. They a gang now. Man, they ain't finna let American people and our little simple votes put them in jail. No, they dictators, man. They ain't finna let none of you so-called Americans push a narrative that's gonna have them in jail. And that's just what it is. They are above the law. Obama sat there and did all that stuff to try to take something away from the American people. And ain't now one of y'all gonna do nothing about it. That's cold-blooded. This will give you a good understanding as to why everybody keep talking about the Epstein files. Because they knew Tulsi Gabbard was finna do what she did with this, but they had to put something else in the media to distract you. You make it seem like that's more important than this, when the Epstein file ain't got nothing on this. Because the Epstein file just show you who was dealing with the dude. It don't tell you who was partaking with these little kids. But this right here can uncover so much more in terms of corruption at the highest level. And they're going to make sure Americans don't be trying to, indulge in it too much, because they got to keep it going. I feel like if they above the law, why should we respect it as Americans? If Obama and them and all these Democrats are above the law, why should I respect the law? That's crazy. It's messed up. They need to be in jail. For real.
Yeah, so Obama is probably one of the worst presidents in history. Very corrupt, very dirty. I don't know what's his game when he tries to interfere with family, telling family that young boys need a gay male role model. They need role models, yes. And if a gay man is doing great things and so forth, that's fine. But when you say they need gay men to learn emotional intelligence and empathy, no, buddy, something's not right there. It's just not right. And then all along, you knew that the Russian Russia Gate was a scam, and you sent the FBI to spy on the Trump campaign, knowing that that Trump was never involved with the Russians, or there was any conspiracy to subvert the election away from Hillary Clinton towards Trump. So, and it was so funny because the polls showed Hillary Clinton winning all the way, and you would think that the polls would have been different if the Russians played a role, but Trump still won the election anyway, thank goodness. However, we have to sit here as America. It made America more divisive than anything. It made us not trust anybody. We don't trust the media, because the media played a huge role in this. Made it seem like that Trump was guilty. I'm talking about like CNN, MSNBC, CBS, these ABC, these news outlets really played a role in destroying the people's trust in the media and in our government. And so now it's going to take a lot to bring that trust back. And I don't think Trump can do that in one term, but he has to start the process, so that way when people go to the voters booth and they select who they want in the White House, they can feel confident that their vote will count, not what happened in 2020, because I still feel that that election was stolen. But I digress. We just need to have a much better system whereby top officials can be held accountable for their actions, especially when those actions are against the American people. That's when the people themselves should demand accountability. So hopefully Trump can really make a difference. I don't know, but I believe in him, and I believe that he has the American people at heart. Obama, I don't know what he has. He's a mess, and he needs to just find a little hole, crawl in it, and just leave us alone. Him, along with Bill Clinton, the one that they call the first black president. I don't know what's wrong with black people, But anyway, that man set black people up along with Hispanics and low income whites. He set all of us up to purchase homes knowing that we would fail, especially black people. They knew they would fail, and fail we did. But it's okay because people learn. And so that 2008 housing crash, thank you, Bill Clinton, because of you, we had to take a loss. People lost a lot of savings because of your greed and your lust for power. But hopefully we will get much better at it. Once again, I was glad to do this show. Please like, subscribe, and share this channel. Leave a comment below. And hopefully we will get the amount of people, the watch hours up, so that way we can go ahead and start really doing some things on this show. You guys have a great day. Please don't forget to leave a comment, and I will talk to you guys later.